It's all right there.
Oh, it's like this. I'm
Good evening, everyone. It's February 1st, and we're going to have a public hearing concerning our grant. So before we do that, though, we're going to call the roll.
Yeah. Stroller.
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Platt. Here. Eversole. Marshall.
Present.
Franklin.
Here.
Gilbreath. Here. Coldarn.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. I do declare a quorum. We're going to have our invocation. Reverend Kim Hayes is here from First Baptist Church to lead us in prayers. Thank you, sir.
What a privilege it is to be here once again tonight. Let me pray with you. Father God, we thank you so much for the time together tonight, and we just pray for our city council, Father, as they are directed by you, Father, for this business session tonight. I pray that they will just rely upon you and seek wisdom from above, and God, also the wisdom that you give us. And so, Father, just use this group tonight, take care of business for our fine city, and God, just bless them and encourage them tonight. Thank you for their service to this town, Father. We just give you praise and thanks for being such a great and mighty God. We ask you now and pray it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Item 1 of this public hearing is to conduct a public hearing, invite the citizen input on our city's application for a CDGB REAP grant for the city's wastewater system improvement, with all citizens encouraged to provide input, and especially those of low to moderate income level. Background on this, the city of Perry is applying for this CDBG grant, REAP grant, to make improvements to the city's wastewater system. The grant monies will be used for the new sludge thickening conditioning basin to be constructed at the city's municipal wastewater treatment plant. We'll call it the project. The city has already received a REAP grant from NODA for the project, and this grant will provide additional funding source. The grant application is $49,500. These purposed CDBG grant activities and this project are not likely to result in any residential displacement. Comments are requested from all citizens, especially those of low to moderate income levels. You'll see in your packet, we do have those documents in your packet.
Can I interrupt you for 1
Yes, you
second?
may.
Sorry. Because of change in government funding, it is now this 48,015. Sorry.
State funding got cut, so we did too. This grant will be for $48,015 to correct your notes in your packet. Thank you. Any comments from anyone here this evening concerning? And by the way, from NODA, we have Vicki Eggers and Jennifer are here to help us with any questions you might have. They don't do songs or dances. Or anything like that.
No, we don't. We're not a duet, no.
All right.
If you have any questions, we're happy to answer for you.
As in the last public meeting we had to close out a grant that we had spent on sewer, we have to conduct this meeting for at least 15 minutes. So entertain yourself. Y'all speak. Talk, whatever you call it.
Is there anything you ladies would like to say as to educate anyone on? I mean, I don't have a specific question at all, but.
Really, the only thing is we've done several of these CDBG REAP grants before. This is the first time we've done it with Perry. But it's a little different, like Dixie mentioned. The funding is not the same as what's printed here because the state cut the REAP funds because of the shortfall, so it trickled down to all of our recipients also. So we had some new contracts out to everybody who got a REAP grant, and they all took a 3% cut on their funding. So we were quite bummed about that because since CDBG REAP is a 50-50 match, then that cut the amount of CDBG that can also be applied for. So that was something that was out of our control, unfortunately.
So the cuts were across the board?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it was across the board. Everybody who received a REAP cut, or REAP grant for 2016 received a 3% decrease in our funding.
Thank you very much.
My assumption is that because they cut funding by 3%, we didn't get our bill cut by 3% for what this is gonna cost. So my assumption is, the city's total dollars out of pocket is probably more. Is that right?
The grants won't cover 100% of the cost.
Sure.
So we knew that, we already knew that going
Right.
in. So it could be that, depending on how the bids come in, it could be that the city does end up paying more than what we had originally thought we would.
Right.
So
That was my assumption, but I was just gonna
that's a good one.
make sure that I was right about that.
Well, we already have one grant
Right.
we're gonna vote on tonight. In a regular bid, so just keep piling it where we can find it. These ladies have been very, very helpful in acquiring these grants for us. We need to get to work with.
And we did have a lot of, or Dixie, I would say, and Jennifer worked together closely last week. The previous grant had to be closed out by, we had a deadline to close that out in order to be eligible for this grant. And so working with the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, uploading all the documents, making sure that, it got submitted and that they acknowledged it. And so that all happened last week. And that had to happen last week in order for us to be eligible for this grant. So
How many grants are we allowed to have, or is it in and out?
As far as CDBG, you can only have one active CDBG at a time. But there are several different kinds of grants out there, so it varies. There's some, I was talking with Mary earlier about an EDA grant to do with your bridge. And, that's a different set of funding. And so, that's a possibility to be able to tap into that. There's a new Department of Transportation has a grant new this year that's a transportation alternative project. And you can use, you can apply for that for transportation, kind of specific, but paths, walkways, bikeways, rail, transit, that type of transportation is what they're looking at for those. And you can match, you have to be careful if you match federal dollars with federal dollars. If you go with CDBG, you can't apply for another CDBG for the same project, things like that. But you can go into transportation funding and CDBG funding because they come from a different source at the federal level. So you have to watch out for that. But there are quite a few grants out there, and I've been trying to, I have several small communities that need the assistance, and so we're trying to find other grants that we can help them with. And so, help as much as we can. Our smaller communities and, Perry too, because you guys have needs as well, and you don't have the income draw that like Oklahoma City has in that area, so it's a little more difficult sometimes.
So only one can be open on the books at a time?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
one of the things that was required to be eligible for this grant was the citizen survey, the low to moderate income survey. And I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the residents who participated in that, was willing to take our phone calls, and I think everybody understood. It was only 2 questions, so it wasn't anything that was real invasive or intrusive into their personal information. And everybody was really pretty helpful and responsive, and we really appreciate the citizens for doing that and helping us with that. Because without that survey to show that we were eligible for the low to moderate income category, we couldn't go forward with it. So.
Phone calls are not required on every grant, is that correct?
Right, that survey will be good for
5 years.
5 years.
Okay.
So now that we have that survey done, we won't have to do it every year, every time we apply for a grant.
But when a grant is applied, if you do not have that on the books for 5 years, you have to do the
Right.
phone calling? Okay.
Maybe in 5 years, they'll have a different survey method.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
now
now
I
I
got
got
it.
it. Sorry, no, for 10 years I haven't seen a change. But on the benefit of that, and that's one thing we do, once a community does an income survey, and we, if we can get the CDBG funding, then we say, okay, do you have anything else coming up? While you've got this survey good for a couple more years, let's, take advantage of it and try to get some more funding, some of your other projects done. Because it is difficult to get residents to answer the questions. If they aren't involved in the city government or know what's going on, there's a lot of people that they just don't want to tell you. They think you're prying into their personal business and, it's none of your business. It's it's mine. And so, we understand it's hard to get the citizens to cooperate sometimes. And so, we try to use that to fullest extent and get as many grants through as we can while you've got that income survey done.
It was hard to do citywide, which is what Dixie worked on, but because it was citywide and not a local area, you don't have to do it again. It was just a local area, even though it was in the 5 years and you expanded past that area, you'd have to do it all again. So this is really good, getting this done this way.
Hopefully this isn't too far off topic, but if we talked about grants and funding methods a lot around this table, and I guess this is probably too much to ask for, but is there a database out there somewhere? Because we talk about CDBG, we talk about EIEIO grants or whatever, all these acronyms that we throw out. Is there a good way to go and research kind of what the different ones are and all the rules?
Well, the
just for our-
Department of Commerce has a pretty good website and with all the different grants that are available, not just for water and sewer,
Right,
but they have the, criminal justice. I mean, they have a big laundry list of all the grants that are out there and available, and with the timelines and everything, so. And the eligibility requirements, because it may be that, it depends on the population. It may be that you have to be a certain population, or under a certain population to be eligible, so. So I know that website is a good source. The EQ, I think, has a pretty good website too for, grants that might be available through them.
I think TSET also has a healthy community.
TSET, right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that, and that's part of what I do is go through, and I just said it in a webinar last week that covered about 30 different funding opportunities, different grants. Some based on economic development, some, a couple of them touched on health, some of them were transportation, and some of them were green category, things to environmentally friendly type projects and stuff. So, I'm going through those and trying to, get myself familiar with those. Some of them, those were just the ones that are available in 2016, and see what ones I can use to help our communities. And like I said, the Economic Development Administration has one that we think might be a good fit for Perry, and so we're going to be working on that one real soon too, get that proposal put together so we can send it in. So
We gotta go to the government to get help. That's what it's about.
I was just sitting here thinking maybe if the DEQ didn't issue so many mandates, they wouldn't have to have so many grants. They got extra money, so they go out and give somebody a notice.
Actually, I really have to say that DEQ has taken on kind of a new attitude towards enforcement. They are more helpful, and I think a lot of that has to do with the new director at DEQ, Scott Thompson, I believe. Is that his name?
I think that's right.
Anyway, the new director, I think, has incorporated a new attitude into the department, and they're more helpful. They're not quite as, they don't come down quite as hard on you. They try to work with you and try to address the issues rather than just sending the notice and
Motion.
and telling us what we have to do, so.
I know it's not listed, but we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversol.
Here.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ladies.
ladies, appreciate it very, very much, all you do. We now call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority. Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Platt. Here. Eversol. Here. Marshall.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Gilbert.
Here.
Kolar.
Here.
Johnson.
Here, I do declare a quorum. I didn't say it, but I will now, I always do. It is February 1st, 2016, by the way.
Good enough.
Consent agenda is our item here. Receive and approve the minutes of the regular PMA meeting of January 21st, 2016.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, second, roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversol.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Are there, item 4, is there any comments from the audience tonight on the PMA? Any comments? Any comments for PMA? Seeing none, item 5, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Council, staff. New business, any new business being brought before the PMA this evening? Any new business? Seeing none,
Motion adjourned.
Second.
motion is second to adjourn, roll call please.
Stroller,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Morrow. Platt. Yes. Eversol.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, this February 1st, 2016. Roll call please.
Stroller,
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
Platt. Here. Eversol.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Gilbert.
Here.
Kolar.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. First item, consent agenda, items A through E. Any of those you'd like to remove to discuss, may be, or approve as presented.
Motion to approve.
Motion carried.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversol.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Kolar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 4, comments from those assembled, comments from anyone assembled here this evening concerning the council meeting this evening. Comments from those assembled. Seeing none, proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Any comments, staff, council? Item 6, city manager report and remarks, I should say, remarks.
Remarks,
Remarks.
comments, whatever. the case may be. My comments tonight are short and sweet. Today, city staff and our engineer, Mayor and Bryce, we all met with Evans and Associates to kickstart the project that that this council awarded, I think back in September, I think it was. We had some conversations back and forth about changing the scope of the design and all of that, but we're ready to move forward with the street improvements. These are the ones on Eagle Lane, Fairway, South Boundary, and if we have enough money, we'll do West 8th and possibly that little patch at 6th and Delaware. At your chair tonight, this is for Brad Marshall.
Thank you.
The chart, the Gantt chart provided by Evans, it does give a timeline, kind of broken out the project into various components and the timeline that they're hoping. We talked today, the main thing is to get a good project. We may not stay exactly on this timeline, but the main thing is to get a good project, and so that's our goal. There are some access issues for the residents on Eagle Lane, and so it was decided today that we needed to do a meeting with the residents And basically, we'll invite the whole subdivision, the Fairway subdivision, to a meeting, and it's this coming Thursday. Don't have a lot of notice, but we'll get the word out to everybody, but it's Thursday at 6:30 at the Country Club. Because that's kind of close to the subdivision there, and so anyway, we've made arrangements to utilize the Country Club for that meeting. It's this Thursday, 6:30. If we didn't do it this week, we had to wait another 2 weeks, and we just didn't want to delay the project any longer than it already had been. So we'll get the word out. I have a list of all the Fairway Edition utility customers, and so we'll either contact them by mail or drop mailers, in their front door or something like that, knock on the door. So, and I know we have at least one council member that's in that subdivision, so they may want to attend, so.
The neighbors will be very excited.
Yes, yes.
Maybe I'll sell parking at your house.
No comment.
The next PMA City Council meeting will be Thursday, February 18th. President's Day falls on what would have been our regular meeting day on the 15th. So the next meeting is Thursday, February 18th. And then I think we're back on the schedule for a while before we have any other deviations from the normal first and third Mondays. The bills that the utility customers are receiving this week include the new sewer charges, and our CFO Russ Meacham is going to report on that.
At the request of one of the council members, to remain unnamed, we did go in and I ran just some estimated bills, in looking. I will tell you, all the bills that we looked at, the only change in the bills related to rates that we charged was the sewer charge. And it was the $6 for the residential customers plus the 3.9 mils for volume over 400 gallons during the winter months. Or, cubic feet, sorry. 400 cubic feet.
I wish it was
gallons, yeah. And then, and $15 on the commercial customers, and likewise the increase on usage. So what I did, and I'm gonna pass around that way, make sure everybody gets one. I just so you all would have something to look at, and you can see side by side. I'll explain this as soon as everybody gets one. But I ran out these bills, and the only increase that they have were those fees specifically. The biggest part of the bill increases came in volume usage, whether it be electric or water that they were using. It had nothing to do with our change in rates or our change in numbers as that goes. So in my example one, each example is a different page. So here, example one was just a minimum usage individual and what was going on. As you can see, we have the unshaded column at the top is their actual bill for the month of December. The shaded column was what they would have been billed in December had the surcharge been in place in December. It wasn't, but that's what it would have looked like for December had the surcharge been in place. There at the bottom, I have January's bill. January is if in the shaded, as if it wasn't changed, it was still under the old rates. And then January unshaded is what it came out as a changed rate. On this minimum customer, you can see that her bill actually in December was $101.56. With the utility rate change, it would have been $107.56, just as we expected. Jumping down below, if you look at January's bill, it was $102.41. Had we been under the old rates, it would have been $96.41, that same $6 change. So as you can see, this customer, it was kind of nice, but a minimum usage customer here, her bill actually went down from December to January. It doesn't happen with example number 2 that I pulled, but there were some people that went down. Guys, the reason it went down has nothing to do with the utility rate change that we made. Has everything to do with the volume that they actually consume. And so that's what causes the decrease. Here in example 2, same scenario. if you look, there was, yes, an overall increase in their bill, which is calculated at the very bottom, but that increase had nothing to do, other than $11.49 of it, had nothing to do with our rate change, had everything to do with their consumption. Yes, this was a significantly higher bill. Matter of fact, we went back and looked at this one just because it came up in this calculation. When we looked, it was determined, we had some meters that got read late this month, and when they got read late this month, they picked up 33 days worth of activity instead of 29 or 30 that they usually pick up. And so, part of this increase in consumption was related to the delay in reading, which, by the way, will probably reverse itself next month. Because of the timing, they're gonna get a shorter bill next month. But we had to make do with 2 meter readers this month, and sorry, but until we go to the electronic metering, by the way, plug for electronic metering here, until we go to electronic metering, sometimes we're going to have issues like this related to readings. But as you can see, this customer was one that didn't use the mini, so she had, or he, I guess, had a $6 increase in the flat, which we knew, and then the consumption usage, if you looked at December's, they would have been billed $4.87 more in consumption. They weren't billed that was December. They were billed the January consumption increase, which was the $5.49 plus the $6. And then the last page is just a commercial customer, so that you can see the $15, how it factored in and played. So I will be happy to go over these in detail. Guys, honestly, what might be easiest for you all is have your constituents call City Hall. If instead of you all having to worry about explaining it and saying, oh my gosh, Russ just ran all these numbers and didn't, go through all the detail, have them call City Hall. The girls are ready to take those phone calls. We've talked through the calculations. They're very comfortable with what's in the system. They can hopefully explain it and take the heat off of you all for having to do it. As I said, and I'll say it again, the majority of the time, those significant changes were related to volume numbers and have nothing really to do with our rates.
What was the genesis of this exercise? Was it that someone thought we were raising some other part of the rates and
Yes.
because it didn't look right to them?
Yes,
That
yes.
didn't work for them?
The bill, and actually I went ahead and it's example number 2. Their bill went up, what they thought, from $268 to $448. I would agree, that to me seems like a significant increase. Matter of fact, just so you all know, here's a little back piece that maybe you don't know, but whenever we get more than a 25% variance in a consumption number on anybody, they're on an automatic reread list anyhow. And so, not only had this calculation been done, they were actually on the reread list to go back out and verify that what we read for consumption was the right consumption for the month. So, that part was verified also. So, yes, looking at it, you step back and you say, man, my bill went up $180. That was the most significant rate increase that we've ever had. It had nothing really to do with the rate increase. The total rate change was $11.49 from their previous bill. The other $170 had everything to do with consumption, nothing to do with our rates. So hopefully that helps. Like I said, the girls, Christy, Carol, Autumn, I guess Sarah, whenever she's setting up there, they're all ready to answer those questions. So if somebody has a problem or doesn't like their bill, have them call City Hall. I bet I heard Christy talking to 5 or 6 different people just this afternoon about their bills and what was going on, and explaining your volume went up this much, which is the majority of your increase. Here's how much you really went up based on our surcharges. And so I think they're doing a good job of that. So, other questions?
None.
I have one for Mary, not for
Okay.
him. So on these Gantt charts, they have 2 similar timelines for different projects. Are they gonna have 2 crews working at the same time, then I assume?
We talked about that today, and they did this thinking that they would do these 2 locations concurrent. They may focus on Eagle Lane, on Fairway Edition.
Yeah, because they had a lot more to do,
initially.
yeah.
Yes, and, you know, because we wanted them to get in and out as quickly as possible. You know, if there's a good, you know, 2-week window of good weather, you know, we don't want them to be splitting their time. No offense to the South Boundary folks, but, and then when they get to South Boundary,
You live
they
on
can
that side of
focus on
tracks.
South Boundary, so.
It's okay.
So anyway,
So their instructions are, if there's a conflict of resources between these two projects, then they should focus on the Fairway one
yes.
at
Yes.
the expense of pushing the
Yes.
timeline back on the other.
Yes. Because they prepared this in advance of the meeting today, and so after our conversations, then we kind of worked that out. But staying on schedule for each and every location may not be the most important priority.
Yep.
How far on 6th and 8th Street, how was that going? How far north and
On
south?
8th Street, it's just one block, it'd be from Fir to Elm, just there on the west side, east side of the school. And then 6th Street, there at 6th and Delaware, there was a kind of a, I don't know how big yes, there was just an area there that was, that had gone bad, and when the county was doing their parking lot, Evans went over there and kind of shored it up a little bit, made it much better, much smoother. If that holds, we may not need to do anything there at 6th and Delaware in that little patch. But I think it's starting to show some cracks there at that location, so I know we'll do something at that location, so.
Any further questions for our city manager? Thank you, council. We'll move on to item 7. I'm gonna have to probably take a break after this one. Consider approval of items pertaining to the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Rural Economic Action Plan, or the REAP. This grant from the Department of Commerce. Item A, discussion and action on resolution number 2016-01 of the City Council, City of Perry, Oklahoma, authorizing the submission of an application for a 2016 Community Development Block Grant Rural Economic Action Plan grant from the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. And the city agrees upon receipt to administer said grant by the rules and regulations established by the United States of America, State of Oklahoma, and all empowered agencies thereof. Do we have to approve these each separately, do we not? Could we go ahead and give me a break and see if we'll discuss this one or have a motion on it? It's included in your item 7.
Motion to submit the grant application.
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Council. Item B, discussion and action on resolution 2016-02 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, appropriating $132,000 to be used as leverage, local match that is, for the proposed wastewater sewer improvements pursuant to the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Rural Economic Action Plan grant from the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, and otherwise pursuant to the form attached here too. That is in your item 7, part B. It's included in your packet.
Motion to approve resolution number 2016-02.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Goldar.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item C. Discussion and action upon the adoption of the Citizens Participation Plan. Okay. The resolution and citizens petition plan must be approved in order to apply for the 2016 Community Development Block Grant, or the REAP grant from Oklahoma Department of Commerce. These are just procedures that go along with this application.
Make a motion to adopt the citizen participation plan.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 8, consider approval of the 2016 REAP Fund NB 16-4 contract with the Northern Oklahoma Development Authority for infrastructure wastewater improvements. Mary, do you want to discuss this some?
Well, this was, actually, this grant was previously awarded and accepted by this council. And because of the budget cuts, they've scaled it back 3%. So they've sent new grant awards out to everyone that had been previously awarded grants, so that we are on board with and are aware of the reduction. So it's just a matter of us approving the new contract with the reduced amount.
Is this what we talked about earlier? Okay. So moved.
Second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Platt. Yes. Eversole.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Item 9, discussion of process for evaluating street conditions and obtaining citizen input on the streets to be improved with the street sales tax. You see the background there where we slightly more than $4 million will be available for street sales tax program.
This is really just an opportunity for you all to discuss amongst yourself how you see us going forward with a, citizen involvement in getting input from the residents on streets to be improved, how to evaluate. We mentioned the possibility of Jim Davis being a part of the evaluation process and helping us to identify, and helping Sam to identify, I guess. So anyway, it's just an opportunity for you all to give us direction on how you feel like it would be best to go out to the public and get input from them.
We had discussed having meetings in each ward with your constituents and get their input on streets in their neighborhood. That's one way we was gonna look at getting input, and I think that's still a viable method. And then I believe we need to put together a plan, a 5-year plan, as you might say, or whatever, by evaluating the system, all the streets in our city, and giving them a rating to where we know from a glance, if it's rated 1, it's very, very poor. If it's rated 5, it's very, very good. And the one that's rated 1, or colored red, you might say, is what we need to work on today, or now, or as soon as possible. Whereas we might have one in 3 to 4 range, they can wait 2 to 3 years. It's just a way to adopt a system based on the input from our street department of how we want to rate the streets for a 5-year construction program, or even longer. That's just possibilities I've come up with from my experience with ODOT and the OTA, is that we have a construction program based on the rating of the conditions of the facilities that we manage. So,
How soon do you want to start this project, Mary? This procedure, I guess.
Well, we haven't actually closed on the funding. I think we're scheduled to close Friday and actually get the street sales tax money. So that'll be available, but I think it's just a process that we kind of work through. I mean, you can do a number of things. You could schedule, an item on your agenda for a couple of meetings and just say citizen input on,
Open hearing.
and just have an open hearing. We could put a survey in the utility bill. We could put a survey in the journal. We could, just, post on Facebook. Make it a kind of a fun activity. What's the worst street in town? You know?
Yeah, do that on Facebook. See, that's where it
I'll probably cruise my ward
Facebook
and
one might be fun.
Well,
give
then,
each
you know, there's
street
other
a
things
rating.
We do have our drainage fee that's being collected that we can address. Hopefully, if we use some of this to address drainage, we can replace it with drainage fees and keep paving with this money for quite a long time. I just think it's important to have citizen input, and because, you know,
I mean,
people,
Yeah, go ahead.
the people who drive these every day are the ones that's, you know, getting the damage to their cars, so it's just an annoyance that we want to try and fix.
Part of this money is dedicated to transportation in general, right? So it would be nice to hear from the different wards about how they want their neighborhoods to be walkable. You know, if there's trails or sidewalks or projects or something that they feel like we really need. We would have to balance that against the street needs, but
Can the lights be part of that, or is that separate?
I would think lighting of the transway would be,
Street
Some really
lights?
dark streets.
If they're related, it can be. I mean, traffic lights,
Yeah, we have some really dark streets.
I mean, lighting streets, that's
Yeah.
all part of
Well, that's what
transportation.
you
And at your next meeting, you will be receiving the proposal from the architect that you hired to file an application for the walkway up Fur. And I think we've received an estimate. He thought that was,
The estimate, because of the terrain and the requirement of some retaining walls possibly, he put the estimate at 1.5 million. Is that right?
yeah, but that's
that's
to
a-
the bulk, that's to the bulk.
Yeah, that would be all the way to 35th Street. So we have talked about breaking it down into at least two grant cycles. You know, grant cycle one, we would go with for a certain length of sidewalk, and it would be 6-foot sidewalk. And then, you know, like I say, breaking it down into a couple of grant cycles. We could break it down to 3 grant cycles, you know, but I'm hoping that we can keep it to 2. But we do get some, I think, some extra points if we have a multi-year application. So a lot of it depends on how much local money this council is willing to put in on it, basically.
Minimum 20%.
Yeah.
Maximum grant 700,000. So, and those grants need to be in by the end of the month. So unless they move the date,
so that, the next meeting is gonna be what we talked about.
that will be it. We need to have it on that. We need to have it on that meeting,
Yeah.
and then we'll need to allocate. If you want to do it, we'll need to allocate those dollars out of this. If that's where you want to take the money, because you can allocate those dollars as the local match in case we get it.
I just, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This walkway you're talking about, where is it starting in?
It would be on West Fur from, I believe 15th out to 35th, which is the ball field.
South side.
On the
Okay,
south side, yeah, on the south side.
Okay.
That's the new, Vicki was talking earlier about the new grant this year from the Department of Transportation, and that's what this grant is. It's the first year that they've done this. They've talked about extending the deadline for the applications because it is the first year and it's new, but we're not counting on that. I think we want to go ahead and try to have this on our next council agenda so we meet the deadline.
But that would be a grant, not come out of the funding for streets, correct?
Well, we would need to find our portion. We need to determine, and our street sales tax money would qualify, if we wanted to use that, or if we wanted to use general fund money. You just need to identify, where your local match is gonna come from.
Well, I personally, the sidewalk would be a great deal, but I think the priority right now is the streets. We cannot,
Well, streets
Keep
are a
putting this
priority.
off.
Streets are a priority too. It's just that this was a grant opportunity that, it's first year. It'd been talked about, sidewalk on West Fur had been talked about previously. And with this grant coming up, I thought it was an opportunity. We may not get the grant. I mean, you know, we may apply and not get a grant.
You can decide you want to match this 20%, 50%, or 100%. So if you got 350,000, you match it with 350,000.
Well, the manager brings up a good point too, with budget cuts and all that. The grants may go bye-bye.
Will be reduced anyway. So
And
it's
the
up to this
council, yeah.
council.
Well, and the council, you know, what's on the agenda next meeting, you know, you'll either vote up or down whether to make the application, but you'll have another opportunity. I mean, if the grant's awarded, it'll come back to you again to, you know, to accept the grant and determine whether or not that's, you know, that money is what you, where you want to spend your money.
So, the 1.5 is for the sidewalk out to the ballpark.
That's the cost estimate,
And-
preliminary.
Basically, the max we could apply is 700,000, so we'd have to pick up what, the 800,000?
Well, she's saying do it in two pieces. So we do a $700,000 grant, build that part, get it closed out, and then go back and apply for a second grant. You know, another 700,000 grant.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Future. And
Only do what we get a grant
the
for.
grant that year. Yeah, so it wouldn't all be completed in one fiscal year as one project. It'd be a project to get us to, forgive me, but get us to I-35. And then from I-35 out to the ballpark. I try to pick a mid-ground. But something like that we would do one phase with a grant award, you know, put our $140,000, you know, in with their 700 and do $850,000 worth of project. Put another 150 in with their 700,000 and do another $850,000 with the project.
But, right, this item tonight, we need to direct the staff and how you want them to go through a process of street evaluation and obtain citizen input. You need to give them a direction.
Well, I like the idea of having an open forum, an open hearing, maybe a couple of them.
As a
I kind of like the idea of going to each ward, you know? That's a good idea too. I just don't know how people would know which one to go to and where we have it.
Yeah.
If we just have an open hearing here and say you get 2 opportunities or 3 opportunities, whatever, show up to these meetings and then you'll have your chance to talk and they
That's
know where to
good.
come. And-
Maybe send out a note in their bill,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
If we start having those preceding the council meeting, or you want to put them in an odd week?
I just do it at a council meeting.
Yeah. I don't know why we'd have to do it.
We'll move
And I'm
it
not
to
so sure that the bill is a good idea.
Okay.
Move it to first.
I'll pull my bill out and pay it whenever Reed was in
Put
there.
this first item on the agenda.
It was a great idea, but by concept, I'm not sure that.
Well, if you don't show up, then it's your problem.
You didn't look at your
At
bill.
least give them the opportunity not to look at it.
Can you put that right by the total on the bill?
About the charges of it.
The reason I was asking time frame was because after discussing with someone that kind of knows asphalt and streets a little bit, you know, you have, it's not my thinking, someone put this in my mind, but you have a street that you think is a bad street, and then you have a street you think is gonna make it till next year or something, and we get some bad freezing, cold, wet weather, and that good street gets water in it, and it goes to crud, and that may be worse than the street that we're worried about over here. So it almost makes me feel like it'd be nice if we could get through the winter, you know, and start it like spring or something, which would probably be spring anyway by the time we
Yeah,
started.
But
but-
construction would be a while off.
Yeah, so I think the evaluation may take a little bit, so.
A month or 2.
I also like the idea, just my opinion, I'm not speaking for anyone else, of, as long as all parties involved didn't have a problem with it, I think it would be very wise of the council to have Jim Davis come back with all of his experience and as a consultant, because I'm gonna tell you right now, knowing Jim as long as I have, I don't think there's anybody, probably experience-wise, and I'm not taking away from anyone either, that knows these streets better than him. The history of them, the way they were put down, all of that, I think it would be very wise and behoove us to probably use all the help we can get on this deal to get more bang for our buck. That's my opinion.
I agree with that, yeah.
I haven't heard behoove since I was in the Army.
Behoove. I like it.
I learned that one today on Facebook.
Well, Facebook's worth something now.
I used to hear it would behoove you men to pay attention.
Yeah.
Behoove.
Well, I like the idea of somebody coming together and pulling all of the street data and saying, here's our priorities from a city standpoint, from our staff standpoint, and then get the input from the public at the same time so that we can evaluate both of them. And I think we make a better decision all the way around.
Yeah, the very end deliverable ought to be, you know, the consensus from the citizen input, and then we have, kind of like we did in that first street project where we had the map with all the stars and numbers or whatever it was. Maybe this time we do a red.
The calligraphy
Yellow,
on the
green,
street.
Yeah.
How about a big red question mark?
I like it.
Just something that's friendly to us colorblind people, but I totally agree with what you guys are saying. If we have our people, the city people, evaluating these streets and it isn't comparative to what the citizens, then
Right, we need
you're
to
telling them
balance those
that,
two, yeah.
well, you know, we
Here's why
appreciate your
can't do
input,
this
but you don't know what you're
right
talking
away,
about.
because it's a lot better than the rest of them.
Well, you've got technical versus comfort.
Exactly.
And so technical from the city side,
So at some point, we'll have
comfort on the
to,
other side.
at some point, we'll have to make those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming there'll be conflicts, which there will be.
I'll bet we can meet in the middle on it though.
Yep. A lot easier if we have both that.
Maybe we should have the cops tell us what kind of crappy roads they have when they have to go down.
Well, and we discussed that the other day about.
When did you give him a chance to talk? Seriously?
They're coming back to Mary, giving her input on, because they're up and down the streets all the time. We can tell you our opinion on some streets, but then.
This is
that
where I
might
lost
not
the
be
front
citizens'
bumper,
thing.
this one's where I lost the rear tire.
This is where the fender came
They
off.
bottomed out at this intersection
Yeah,
because
well, this isn't involve a railroad track, we can talk about it.
Yeah, that
I
11th
left the oil
Street's
pan on
worse
this one.
than ten.
Yeah.
You don't want to get in high-speed pursuit
You
there.
hit that going 35, your car's done.
Oh,
So-
it's not good.
As far as Jim or someone being involved, helping the city of Perry, I don't have a problem with that, but I want to make sure, and it's up to you, Mary, that's your call, I want to make sure that that's something that we need. I think Jim does bring a ton of knowledge, and I think that knowledge would benefit the city. But I want to make sure that that's something that our own departments can't handle. I mean, I don't know,
that's a good question, so, I mean.
I guess
I
it'd
know-
be nice to hear Sam's input maybe of how he feels about it.
Yeah, because I don't want to step on toes either. I mean, that's the whole point of this.
Well, nobody wants to spend money we don't need to spend.
Well, we
So, I think that's an evaluation you're gonna have to
okay.
have
Yeah,
to
because
make.
Sam could be sitting over there saying, hell no, I don't need any help.
He ain't good for you.
I'm paying for that.
I really think Sam has plenty to do, but.
It'd just be nice to hear what he thinks since he's over the streets right now.
Well, and I think he already has a nice long list, and we've been kind of adding to it here and there based on, people that call in or that, and this and that, but, I think Sam is capable of doing that, but if you wanted to use Jim's experience, over the years, that would be fine too, but I can visit with Sam a little bit more and determine
Be a good thing.
determine where we go from here.
So do we decide that we're gonna have the hearings here, like just have a series of them right here in the chamber?
That's consensus, is not.
Do we, I'm gonna go back to it again and ask, because I'd already heard it. Do we wanna have the special meeting like we did on the grant deal where we start at 6 o'clock and let people speak up instead of?
I say we have it at the end of the meeting.
No, no, that only gives us 15 minutes if we do, well, we could just put it at the very first of a regular meeting agenda.
Let it run.
Yeah, that's what I was
That
thinking.
would be fun,
First item,
Very, you gotta put it at the very first.
so people aren't forced to sit through.
Right.
Right.
why wouldn't they wanna listen to me?
I say put it on
All this witty banter we have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your MC.
Don't comment.
No, no. All right, do we have a consensus on how we want to go? One, we want to have public hearings, but they'd be part of a regular meeting, first item of that meeting, is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Secondly, we do want Mary to instruct her staff and do whatever she needs for assistance in that for an evaluation of the streets within our city limits for an evaluation process. Do we have that consensus? Okay. Is that all we deem necessary to do?
I think we need enough material here as far as maps, et cetera, so that we can itemize which streets we need, that the public feels they need it, and mark it on the map as to exactly where that is so that we get maximum amount of data.
Okay.
Visual effects.
Crayons and paper.
Crayons and paper.
Big
Very
pictures.
You can only have 3 colors, though. We don't go any more.
That's what we did at our church. We put this big old brown sheet of paper on the wall. And for our expansion, we give everyone the right to put their input on that wall. So
You got it surveyed too, didn't you?
I did get it surveyed.
All right, are we ready to move on to item 10?
I haven't seen the credentials of the surveyor yet. Got it surveyed.
You probably won't. We need to move on to item 10. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council. Consider exercise of option to purchase all or a portion of certain real property located in the northeast quarter, Section 19, Township 21, Range 21 North, Range 1 West of the Indian Meridian, Noble County, State of Oklahoma, Harmony Farms LLC, pursuant to option agreement dated April 7, 2011. This is to, you saw the maps last time, they included this time, of these properties around our commercial park, or not our industrial park, which we still have an option to purchase. I'm going to ask our CFO if we got the money to purchase it first, and then you can
The
decide. if
answer
you
is
want.
always no to that.
Well, and then Bill's lying, no. You know, guys, last time, you know, I mean, we have made out pretty well on the existing properties that we've purchased. I propose that we do it under the same method that we did. We borrow the money from ourselves, turn around and then repay it as we sell the individual lots off of that piece. So yes, there are funds there. You know, we can front those funds. How many years are we gonna front them for? You know, I mean, we're looking at 5 years, kind of, as we did on this piece. So, you know, we usually, we can usually make out, you know, we'd sell half of the lots and find out we've worked this in the past. And so I think that same idea would be what we would do for funding on this side.
The company that we hired for the economic development, has he started, have we heard?
I called him about this,
Okay. And they-
Because that's what
I
we said
called
the
him.
last meeting.
And what did he say?
and he said, if you have the money, buy the land. He said that, and he pulled it up on Google. Now, we did note, and if you look at this page, and that's tab 10, it's the last page of tab 10. If you look at that, you know, you can see that that there's some oil and gas sites. This is all drainage, and under our option, we have the right to take any or all. So we don't have to take all. You can take the acres that you want. That's the way I wrote it. and you have oil and gas here, and you have some oil and gas there and there. There's a crest of a hill here, there'd be some dirt work here, but, you know, that right there looks like a, you know, track. I think that the mayor has some ideas about that. He may think it's too much dirt work. But if you drive down this road and you look at this track is relatively flatter. And, you know, if you put a road down it and put utilities here, particularly if there was a spur, I mean, I can see that used. Now, I'm not a developer. What he said was the owner of the land is the one that makes the deals. I mean, you know, unless you own the land, being able to make deals are very difficult. The only other thing is, would there be some other land that you could buy for an equal price? Remember that we did buy the property down from OnQ for a similar price. And we do have 120 acres down there that is undeveloped, but also there's not utilities put through that, you know, either on the frontage. There's water on the frontage, but there's sewer in the northeast corner of the property. Water does run across the front of the property and then comes down 32nd Street. So it kind of comes to the middle. And actually somebody else's electric lines are over there, so it's not developed for electric. But understand, you cannot condemn property for economic development. So you have to find a willing buyer if you want to buy it. I did contact Parmley, and you know, he stated that if you wanted a continuance on this, that would cost you, and the property value would go up. I asked him if he had a price, to get me a price. He didn't call me. I did not call him back, but you know, I first wanted to gauge your interest in acquiring it. You know, if you're not interested in acquiring it now, you know, you may not be interested in acquiring it in the future for more. I would think that if you wanted to buy it, you'd buy it now for less. Particularly, you know, that you have the right to buy it any or all, you know, so you can make your pick. Now, we don't have to make a determination at this meeting. We still have a minimum of 3 more meetings before you need to make a determination. If you all haven't been out there, you know, I would recommend that you drive out there and look at the property. Because that's what we're doing. I mean, we're buying property. We would have to take utilities under the track, and we'd have to find a way to do that. The other thing is that, you know, 35th Street, excuse me, what street would this be?
35th.
Yeah, 35th. Yeah, 35th is not improved. And, you know, we're gonna have to find a way to get that improved. Ricky Hayes was talking about industrial access, you know, dollars and the possibility, and, you know, truthfully, it would be nice that the condition of Fur West would be nice to have that improved too, but.
It's hard for me to, because I know this piece of land rather well. The piece on the north side of the tracks over there to the west end, where our property ends, is kind of on top of a hill, and from that point to the west, it breaks over towards the front there to the west, and about where that 48.23 is, there's another hill there, and then just a little bit south of that, it breaks pretty hard downhill to that well site. So there's no good flat land really over there at all. Now my concerns with the acreage on the south side of the tracks, not that it would be utilized for this, but Bryce keeps talking about a spur. I'd have to see some stats on that before I'd be willing to spend that kind of money for that, because I can't see that's a half mile long, that I can't see that would be enough for a spur. for a train track. I mean, that's getting off of it, off the track, and getting back on the track in a half a mile, and most of your trains are a mile long. I can't see that, I mean, I don't want to say that it wouldn't work. I'd have to see some kind of railroad stuff to be able to determine whether that's, enough room for a.
How many acres of undeveloped property does the city already own?
Well, 120, 120 to the south. And I would say some odds and ends here
Yeah.
and some odds and ends in the commercial park. I mean, we've got, five or six good lots there in the commercial park on the south side of the new road that we
And there's about
built.
10 acres on the south side of Cedar
Yeah.
that's available, and then a little bit south of Microtel. I mean, there's that corner there, but
But that's really restricted for commercial development.
that's
Yeah.
commercial development.
Different than
Right.
what we're doing
This is
in
This is
this
more
part as
industrial.
industrial.
And how many acres is this, 80?
80 left.
80 left, but that's 26 point, and Bill, you're right, I mean, there is a hill there, and there would have to be a whole lot of earth moving over on this west side. If you take a look at Richard's property and his physical plant, and this is an old picture because he's got other buildings now, how many of those could you place on this 26? I mean, you could put a number of businesses on that south side, aside from a rail spur. You would have to get utilities, but we already have utilities out there. Now, is the sewer, we'd need a lift station.
Here's something else I want to ask. How far do you have to set off of the railroad track? Is there a?
They have minimum clearances from spur to rail.
Well, I mean, not- even if there wasn't a spur there, just the rail,
The rail
how close
itself.
can we sell some land up to
To
the
the,
railroad
up to
track?
the right of way, which is indicated by the fences, is the best I can tell you, that's the right of way.
So the fence is by law the right of way?
No, not by law.
No.
Or
But
by-
the railroad won't let you build fence on them, so anyone who is gonna look at something and say that's where the railroad property is, it'd be to the strip, the fenced-in area along that strip.
Okay.
There's survey maps that they have on record of ODOT that tell you exactly what those right-of-ways are. This is kind of narrow, and that's probably why it's no right-of-way.
Bryce said you had I don't know if you can share that with us, an idea, or what, I don't know how you put that, for the 48 acres you mentioned you had. Okay, if you, it's,
I don't have an idea for it, I just think that we'd have to take, if we're going to fill that area and make it usable front to back, we'd have to remove earth from the
These are terraces.
other part of our industrial park to help knock that hill down, build that place up in a manner that would support a building or whatever is needed. Now, if we have the spray guys go out there and desalt that water, we don't have to do anything to it. They can just dig their holding pond and do that. But we've seen how well that's gone. So I'm saying that to make this work, some of the things we have in there right now would work on that. I mean, they got a guy out there who's got kind of a pipe yard sitting there. And, there's areas there where we could have equipment setting for a construction company that you wouldn't have to have a whole lot of development for. But if I'm looking at it from I'm looking at it a commercial way, and I shouldn't be. It could be leveled out that's acceptable for an industrial use if it's not a building like this. If you're gonna put buildings on there, you've gotta build pads for buildings. And as Bryce mentioned, we may have a real task in serving that area over there with sewer. Water, electric, and everything else, no problem, but the sewer over there probably would require a lift station. And the 26 acres south of the tracks would require a lift station. And that's something that our guys at wastewater probably would rather we didn't build was lift stations because they're maintenance. issue.
25,000 minimum and they can go right up.
Yeah.
But it's 25,000.
High maintenance.
You know,
Well, go ahead.
I know that we're not in the real estate business. We're in the business of getting people in here to create dollars for the city of Perry and utilities and, other than Richard Crowe, there's only one promising prospect that I believe is going to do anything in the industrial park. And there are many lots out there that we have sold that are for sale now. And I think it would be in our best interest to try to help those people sell those lots. Because the way they sit now, they're not bringing us a dime. And
Or
so,
employing any.
and yeah, exactly, not employing any people or anything. So I'm not saying that we should not buy. I'm just saying that there's a lot of room in that industrial park that we have right now
Yeah, we've got plenty of
that
inventory.
that can be used.
It's not being
And just
used.
because that land is not on our dime, we can help sell that land to utilize it to grow things out there.
Here's my concern with this whole thing is, let's just divide it up into three sections. The 48, that northernmost finger that goes north-south, it looks like to me that somebody would look at this and go, that's just too much upfront cost for me to develop it to be viable, to me to build my business on. Or we could do that for them and make it more marketable, but now we're out some money where we had to do that work to get it, the foundation.
And then we gotta
strong
charge that
enough.
much more.
And then, that's right. So, and then this other finger that goes east-west on the north side of the tracks, you know, with all of a lot of that's taken up with drainage, and we got all the oil stuff there. I don't know what you developed there without a significant amount of cleanup, and are those active now?
Yes.
Still? So, so that leaves the south side finger of land, and again, we're still talking about a lift station to get sewer out there, but I don't know what kind of businesses we develop. That would be developable, is that a word? In that area. I mean, we can build a road that goes down there to service it, but I don't know what we put in there. I mean, and again, our inventory level of available land is already high. Let's sell what we got to people that will make us money, and we can turn around and maybe one day revisit this or something. That's
On the
kind of
south
my-
side piece, I'm like Bill, I would like to see what the railroad,
Yeah, now that's a
what their
viable.
model is on a spur and how much room is needed.
Well, what, you guys that know what the spur thing is.
They did a spur in
What
the
is it-
Bard. I can find out that.
What does it do for
I
you?
can
I
find
mean,
out.
does it does it
You
allow
get
to
off
have
the
some-
track and then someone can have a business there, they load
Like
stuff on.
intermodal,
Yeah, or it's-
intermodal something, or?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, it's huge if you
Like, for
can,
example,
if you can make it work. If you
Mhm.
make it work.
like the companies that are putting in the wind farms, they needed rail spurs to offload
Sure.
the
All the
propellers.
props and stuff, yeah.
And so, so they were looking for locations
Okay.
around in this area
I
for
can
the
see that
wind
being a
farm that
thing.
went
We,
up around Newkirk or
which,
wherever. So-
everybody from Perry knows how many trains comes through here, but the company I work for, we sit right on the tracks down here on 15th Street. And I mean, they're by there, they're not gonna let you break a train apart on that track out there.
Yeah,
You know,
No.
you're gonna have to get the whole train off the track.
right, and your point about this being.
And that's only a half a mile.
A short distance,
Yeah,
a long train.
and that's a half a mile to get it off the track and get it back on the track, because the land to the east of this, there's nothing available across that road, it's sold. And then you going the other way, you're in a bind too, you know, so.
Anyway, I'm not, I mean, maybe that's, the land to the south is a viable one, but I don't know.
But we did get the best property.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
we
we
got
carved
the-
out
we
the
got the
80
rate
that
now,
we got
so-
was the
You-
best.
Do you
So-
wanna hold this over and
We got
discuss it
we
more?
got 2 more months, don't we?
Okay.
Well, we got another 3 meetings.
Another 3
Yeah, we-
meetings.
3 meetings.
Is it March 1st or March 31st?
31st, yeah, we have all this month, all of March.
Think about it, drive out and look at it, see
So
what you
if,
think.
if we ask for an extension on the option, is that anything viable at all? How many dollars it's gonna cost us more per acre?
That's what I wanted
It's
to know
gonna-
last time.
Gonna
Yes,
cost
well,
more.
I mean, I've asked him for a price, and he hasn't given me one. And we have the price in this contract, so I mean, I could ask him again, but, you know, I figured that he'd, you know, come back to me, but I can certainly ask him again, there's no problem, his number in my phone.
I bet he's like, how much they been selling that for?
I like,
How much you got?
I like the idea of having acreage, but this is not as prime as what we've already done.
It's not.
And it's a difficult spot
Let's see if we
to
can develop what
develop.
we have
That's
first.
the hardest part of the whole thing. That's what causes my angst to go up, is because it's so difficult to work with. They have to be a pretty special person, pretty special need to come in and be able to develop that.
But we need to get that 35th Street done, you know, that would need to be.
Oh, improving that street down there, we need to do that anyway. I think,
Yeah, we
just
need
for
to
the
do that
ballpark.
anyway.
I think it needs
all
to
the
be
way
a pretty good chunk south.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we're gonna talk about doing phase 2 of that ballpark.
Yeah.
I think the county's waiting on us.
Makes sense.
Hey, Ray,
Yeah.
did you say some of the businesses are selling?
All right. We're gonna move on to item
Or
11.
were you talking about the open ones?
Yeah, some of the open ones.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that have sold, I got some pretty good feedback from them that they're either, that they are interested or that they would, you know, they probably would be, but they'd have to let me know. But it would be at the price that they purchased it for. I mean, it wouldn't be at a discount or anything like that.
Would be a wash for us.
So that would be part for our consultant, for our economic development person
Do a
to,
feasibility, viability
yeah,
study.
check that out. Say, here's its market.
I just don't know how much ROI we would see.
But I will commit, I do have a friend that is a railroad engineer, a real engineer, not a train driver. And I'll ask him about spurs and construction.
That's good.
Yeah. See what kind of value it has.
I think that's kind
They
of.
got it. And I haven't heard from
I got a business card.
So we make a motion to table this once
Yes,
again?
yes, just table.
Is that a motion?
Second.
Motion.
We have a long table.
Stroller?
Yes.
Yes. Eversole?
Yes.
Yes.
Franklin?
Table.
Yes.
Gilbert?
Leave it on the table.
Yes. Calderon?
Yes, thank you.
Focus.
Item 11, consider convening an executive session for the purpose of conducting performance evaluation.
Make a
Mayor,
motion.
city manager.
Make a motion, we convene into executive session.
Second?
Who would you like to remain?
Roll call, please.
Stroller?
Wait,
I'm
wait,
going to
wait.
ask council.
Did we need to do that before Bryce?
No, you can, but you don't have to.
Okay, yes.
Morrell?
Yes?
Platt? Yes. Eversole?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Franklin?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Calderon?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes. And before we break into that, you people will need
Yeah, well, I've been there for a while.
Drugs.
Go, Mayor, it's live.
We're on TV.
She's trying to move
All
on.
right. Don't move anybody, just be still. They
Make it
won't
look
see-
like it's a still shot.
They won't see you if you don't move.
T-Red,
Just change it.
We're smiling.
slideshow.
Okay, we need a motion to reconvene.
Motion to adjourn, or, I mean, reconvene, I'm sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reconvene. Roll call, please.
Stroller,
I like that one.
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
I know she just
Yes.
asked for a second.
Eversole,
Yes.
Marshall,
Here, yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Is there any action we need to take appropriate and pursuant to the executive session? I would say to our audience here and to the people at home watching and to this council, we did meet in executive session as we did 2 weeks ago, and we have lined out goals and procedures for this city. We've delegated responsibility from this council to our city manager. She is well aware of the needs of the city and the desires of this council to serve the city. And we feel like we've got a great line of communication between each council member and our city manager. And we look forward to this next year of working with her on the goals that our citizens have set for us. Any other comments? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
New business.
Second.
There was a new business on there, on the agenda.
We ain't got any new business.
Okay. So who made the motion to adjourn?
I did.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stroller,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Eversole,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Franklin,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.